And we're live and on the air, and this is the TWIS Minion Science Island Hangout. Two of us tonight so far. I'm Dyer from the great state of Connecticut, and also joining me is Pamela and Chelsey Taylor. Our friend Dale is in rescue training. Justin had some kind of dental work done today, so I have a feeling it just might be you and me. We do have Michael Jobin in the Gmail chat area. So let me immediately start right off with the stories. We got some climate stories. We got Native Americans, the Pueblos, who are going to help save the Rio Grande River. We got a neat little cat prosthesis story. Poor little cat. Missing two hind legs, and these people built it's a prosthesis. Now I've seen them on other animals like cat, dogs, and tortoises, and they're like wheels. This is different. This is actually one for each leg, and so it's pretty interesting. There's a video which I will show. Don't know if you're going to be able to hear it in the chat area, but that's okay. You can see what's happening, and I can certainly talk over it. Climate story out of Paris. I've got an article from the Christian Science Monitor talking about California. California giving a lesson for the rest of the world to follow. And a neat little interesting video, kind of a funny video, about what Christmas may look like in 2056. Always exciting. Or perhaps a little terrifying. Yeah. All right. And I'm going to start off.
Not the It's all right. She just wants my boob. Keep going.
I will keep going. This is me going and talking about the first story, which is from Audubon. The Audubon magazine has an online site, and they've got a neat little story about how there's a problem on the Rio Grande River, and it's a water source for millions of people in the Southwest, but there are huge drought conditions, lots of diversions, and so the river is drying up in many stretches. It has stopped flowing almost every summer since 1996. And of course, that's because a lot of people are siphoning off water. But thanks to a partnership between Audubon, New Mexico, and one of the Native American tribes, the Pueblos, they're going to give the river a chance to replenish itself. Let's see. First, what they wanted to do, this is Audubon, New Mexico. They reached out to 6 groups of Pueblos and offered to purchase or lease the water the tribes had stored in upstream reservoirs. But the Pueblos of Sandi, S-A-N-D-I, had a better plan. And rather than selling it, they're going to volunteer to devote 33 million gallons of the reservoir next year to help replenish the healthy river system. First donation of its kind. With ever-increasing demands on the river, the water is a dedication to the inherent value the river has to all the people in the habitat it supports, says the governor of the tribe, Isaac Lujan. Sandy hopes this donation can be used as an example of what can be done for the health of the river and the community when stakeholders work together. And this is kind of a recurring message, which is on the major level, the national level, the level of the world communities trying to work together, mostly more talk than action. But on the local level, things are being done. Local communities working together, helping out.
Yes, sorry, I was muted because I have a chatterbox in the background, and you would have been cutting in and out. No, that's good. Rolling pin. Yeah, that's always good when communities are getting together and helping out and doing stuff.
Yeah, Australia's had a lot of experience with drought. And I know we talked in the past about is it Melbourne, Australia, had a 10-year drought. And the people worked together, and they used something simple like water catchment, and they got through.
Oh yeah, we've got parts of Australia that hasn't seen rain for 2-3 years. It's and the ground, when it gets like that, the ground can actually get so hard that when it does rain, it doesn't absorb the water, so it just evaporates back up again. It doesn't actually really solve the problem. It can take one good rainy season doesn't do it. To recover from a few years of drought, you need a few years of rain sometimes. But they have those helicopters now. We've borrowed, I don't know if we've bought any yet, but I know on a few occasions we've borrowed some from you guys, the USA. Those helicopters that suck up the water and drop it. Mm-hmm. Have you seen them? Because we've used them for bushfires.
Yes. That's what they're used for in the States. Yeah. Very effective.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we've seen some devastation, but we would have seen a lot more without them. So, there are ways around it. We use our technology to solve these climate issues. Shoes. No, not shoes, issues.
Got a couple more. I'm going to jump into a couple of more climate stories. I'm going to see if I can screen share this one. And this is just a neat it's a little video, courtesy of The Guardian, showing us, what might here we go, what it might look like, 2056. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it, but that's okay, because it is fairly self-explanatory. Can you hear it?
No, we can't hear it. No.
Okay. Well, you can pretty much see it. People get excited about Christmas, right? A Christmas stump. Who the heck needs a whole tree when you can have an actual stump after all the trees are gone? There you go. There you go. Everybody's sharing a Happy New Year with malaria.
You just remind me, not to get too off onto a tangent, I watched a documentary on YouTube the other day, a BBC one, BBC Science, and when you mentioned malaria, you just made me think of it. And I think it was called The Truth About Looking Younger or something. Anyway, someone doing malaria research has found with a vaccine, it doesn't cure the malaria, but it neutralizes the symptoms. So you can still carry it, but you don't get sick. And it's to do with collagen, which is why it was on a documentary about looking younger, because collagen is how we stay looking younger. So they're actually utilizing this malaria killing technique in skincare to look younger. Anyway, so it stops the virus being passed through the collagen. It just cuts it off at the source. So
what, the collagen level of the skin?
Yeah, so it doesn't get past, so the malaria stops. Because you've got the epidermis and the dermis, and the collagen is in between. And so when the mosquito bites you, in the epidermis, it'll stop in the collagen and not go through to the dermis and infect you. So you'll still have the virus, but you won't get sick from it because it's not being passed on. Yeah, anyway, so I just thought that was...
that's interesting.
So that's some research that's being done, and they're getting 100% success rate. So, another 5 years or so, and it'll probably be how we treat malaria.
Yeah, it's still a terrible problem for much of the world. but it's also one of those diseases that a lot of money is being spent on. And I hate to say it, but it's profitable. Just like diabetes. They're doing a tremendous amount of work on diabetes. You can make a lot of money off it. You come up with that magical vaccine or whatever it is that'll get rid of malaria. It's obviously going to help all the sufferers, and it's going to make you buckets of money. So, and
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's something as well. If no, sweetie, don't grab my phone. If they can sell the same kind of thing to people who want to look younger, you know, like a 2-for-1, then selling it to people who have too much money and to know what to do with, so they're happy to spend it to look, you know, 10 years younger, that could subsidize people who need it for actual malaria. You know, because when Botox came, you know, it first came out, I mean, it's sort of everyday thing now, but I remember it with Botox, you know, it freezes the muscles. But if your muscles are already frozen, per se, from having a stroke, it can help you get functioning back. So they've actually been looking at using Botox for stroke victims, and that's only been possible because of all the people who are vain and happy to spend money on it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have these markets, because it can lead to other things, which is actually good for humanity. And if people want to look younger, that's fine. Whatever.
Well, I mean, that's why a lot of skin products now include what is it? Protect you from ultraviolet rays.
Yeah, the UVA, because that's how you age. Yeah, that breaks down the collagen under the skin, and that's how you get the sagging.
I mean, I use a dry skin product myself. I'm an old guy. Everybody's using them now. And they make a lot of sense because it keeps your skin moist. It's what you want. You don't want dry skin. And if you spend a lot of time outside, you now can moisturize your face and also get protection and maybe help with malaria. That's terrific.
Exactly.
Gonna move on
Yeah.
to they're having the big talks, climate change talks in Paris. All the countries getting together, and there's representatives from California. And this is an article in the Christian Science Monitor talking about how the steps they're taking in California could really serve as a good example. And one of the big points in this particular article, and it's like 3 pages, I will read some of it, but is that you can go green and create jobs. And that's what's happening in California. It isn't just that they're going green and they're introducing climate change initiatives, but they're also generating jobs. And that's one of the problems. For instance, I know Kiki last night in TWIS was talking about third world countries. Their priority is, you know, they want money. So, you know, they still have the mining and whatever. And their priority isn't climate change worries. Their priority is money. Well, the fact is, and as California is showing, you can have it both ways. You know, you can make money off of green technology and green initiatives. And the article says, indeed, California has acted almost like an independent nation when it comes to climate change. And even when you had a Republican, kind of a right-wing guy, Arnold Schwarzenegger, even he bucked the Bush administration and set an aggressive greenhouse targets. The current Governor Brown, and he's been crisscrossing America looking for partners on climate change initiatives. And one of the greatest lessons has been its ability to grow economically, even as it takes robust steps to address climate change. They can turn up the dial on climate change policy and also see tremendous advantages. Excuse me, I've got a message. Richard, I'm assuming sorry guys. I forgot to send an invite to Richard Drum, it seems like. I will immediately, I think it's Richard Drum. I did send him an invite.
Drum? 365 days of astronomy?
Yes. I think sorry for the leave, guys.
You do that up something too.
There we go. Invitation has been sent. Now,
excellent.
We go back to the story I was reading about. The economy in California has grown 3%, which is 1% more than the national average in the U.S. And California clean tech companies garnered more than $27 billion worth of business. And this is something that the European Union needs to learn from. They need to embrace carbon restrictions and renewable energy subsidies early on. They did have some climate change initiatives in Europe, but they've started to back off because of concerns about budget gaps. But with each investment, research, and development cycle, you should be able to lower cost, and solar panels have recently taken 50 years to pay off. That used to take 50 years to pay off, now can be done in 10 years. And California's most aggressive strategies include a cap and trade policy, which allows industries to buy and sell carbon credits, and a state requirement that all utilities must draw 50% of their power from renewable sources by 2030. That's just 15 years. And state lawmakers in 2002 passed groundbreaking legislation limiting the amount of carbon cars and light trucks can emit. The biggest lesson to learn is that a lot of action and progress can be achieved at the sub-national level beyond the agreements that can be reached by treaty negotiations. And Los Angeles's decision to build a massive transport infrastructure for cars instead of taking steps to reduce congestion were not ideal for greenhouse gas reduction, but recent policies to reduce congestion and more seamlessly integrate public transports are all steps in the right direction. We must learn from mistakes. And Pamela has disappeared. And I'm alone talking to myself and my audience. So, I mean, that's two things. Local. Work on problems at the local level, including things like sharing solar panel initiatives. You're back, Pamela.
Sorry, my gorgeous daughter shut the computer. I don't have enough hands. I could see she was doing it, but I was putting my boob back away after she had a drink, and if I'd reached out to stop it, I would have had my boob on the screen. It was just not enough hands sometimes.
Well, there you go. We've talked about how gene editing. Wouldn't it be neat if you could do some gene editing and have 3 hands? There you go.
Yes. Yeah, I'd like 6, please.
6 hands.
4 more. Yeah.
Human octopus.
I think, yeah, well, it would be, wouldn't I? With my legs, that'd make 8. So, it's funny because we have, big spiders here, and you just reminded me. And there was quite a big spider in the bathroom last night. No, it didn't bother me. I just, they're doing their own thing, and I do mine. But it only had 5 legs. So I was thinking, I'd like to see the spider that, ripped off the other. Like it must have got into a fight or something, So how big was the guy that ripped off the 3 legs? Because this guy is pretty big. Or girl, the female spiders can be pretty aggressive.
I used to capture when I used to. I'm hearing myself. I'm talking to
You're what,
myself.
sorry?
I'm hearing myself.
Oh,
Okay.
you're on microphone.
Yeah. All right. I used to capture spiders, a little club, and and put them outside until they started biting me. I'd wake up in the morning and I had spider bites. So I'm sorry, guys. No more being nice guy. No more being nice guy to the spiders.
Yeah.
I kill the suckers now.
My only concern, of course, is getting bitten in your sleep or something, and with my daughter. But we, as you can see, we sleep in a big insect-proof tent. So it's just mesh, so it breathes, but nothing, not even little ants or anything can get through. It's the really good mesh stuff. So I don't have to worry. You know, there could be 100 spiders on the outside of this and we'd be perfectly safe. So I leave them because they eat all the other stuff that I really don't want running around.
Yeah. Mosquitoes. As Justin
Sorry?
Justin talked about many times. Mosquitoes. They eat mosquitoes.
Spiders eating.
Yeah, Justin likes the spiders because they eat mosquitoes. I guess he doesn't much care for mosquitoes.
Yeah, a lot of mosquitoes. Yeah, so I appreciate them too. Oh, whoa, what's going on here?
Yo.
I remember talking with someone from Australia. I don't remember what part. How it's just routine in Australia. And when you get up in the morning, you knock your shoes, wearing shoes, to make sure no spiders are hiding out.
Oh yeah, you've got to turn your shoes upside down and otherwise if you stick your foot in, you'll stick it in on a spider. Now, give me my phone. Thank you. Not enough hands, Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, you have to. Sure.
I'm going to go on.
Not here. Yeah, go on. Yes. Come on.
I'm going to go on.
Sorry, I'm quite distracted.
Neat cat prosthesis story. And I'm going to share a video with you. A story and a video. There's our little friend. And as you can see, Vincent. And these legs in the back, that's, as I say, I've seen dogs and cats and even tortoises that have prosthesis, but they're wheels. In this particular case, it's actually more like a leg, an actual functioning leg. And I'm going to turn on the video. You probably won't be able to hear it, but once again, you can see pretty much what's going on. You can't hear it, I assume. I'm going to talk over it anyway. Yeah, you can see the way they designed it. See how he can walk. You can move each leg independently. And one of the things is that what they can do is they add length to the legs as it grows, so that eventually it will be, you know, basically look like the same height for a cat.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
They even said that they believe the cat will be able to jump. So that's, again, you know, how the state of prosthesis is advancing, and it's being customized so much for individuals, now for animals. The only complication is that because it's exposed, they have to twice a day put antibiotics on the around where the opening is so that it doesn't get infected. But other than that, I mean, it's how, you know, the cat can just walk basically on its own, normal. You appear to be frozen, Pamela. That's okay. Frozen Pamela is better than no Pamela. All right. I have, let's see, let me check out the chat area. Michael Jones, he said, Michael, my friend Michael Jobin in the chat room had a tarantula. And when it would shed, it said it would lose a leg every time. I don't know, man. That means it would only shed 5 times and it runs out of legs. So I don't know. I don't know. But I do know people that have tarantulas as pets. And, you know, that no problem. I guess, you know, they don't bite you. As long as you take care of it and feed it and everything else, as long as you don't act too aggressively towards it. The main thing, like any pet, you got to know, you got to be prepared to take care of it, prepared to take care of your pet.
Yes. We're back.
Off topic, on that subject of pets, there are just so many people that, gee, they think it's neat. I mean, even I have to say, some of them with kids, they want their little child to have a cat or a dog. It goes up, it gets bigger, and they don't want to have it anymore, and they just let it run around loose. Not good. Make sure you do the research, and you know that you are prepared to take care of your animal. And Michael in the chat area assures us that a new leg would grow. That's what he says every time. All right. I got another animal story here. And a picture I can share with you as well. Bonobos, our favorite animal, because they run around having sex all the time. Very chill animals. Kind of chill, like, I know, Pamela, you said your daughter is very chill. And that's how bonobos are very chill.
Yeah, I don't compare her to a bonobo. Thank you.
Now I'm going to play the video. You can watch it. And what the video shows you is just how much thought these bonobos are putting into making the tools. And then I'll read from the story while the video is playing. First time, a scientific study has observed bonobos making sophisticated use of ancient pre-agricultural tools in a manner similar to that which was heretofore been considered only the prerogative of archaic pre-human hominids or humans. Among other findings, bonobo was observed for the first time making and using a spear in a social setting. In the current study, which is published in the American Journal of Physical Anthropology, The researchers sought to examine whether bonobos in a sanctuary and a zoo were capable of undertaking sophisticated sequential actions in extractive foraging tasks. This study included a group of 8 bonobos in a zoo who lived in conditions of full captivity, and another group of 7 bonobos in a sanctuary, and that's the ones you're looking at. That's one of the bonobos in the sanctuary. And they lived in a culturally rich conditions with forest access. Both groups were presented with similar natural challenges. They were required to reach food either buried in the ground, covered by a layer of stone of varying sizes, hidden inside large bones filled with dried fruit to simulate bone marrow, or concealed inside small concrete capsules. And the researchers also placed alongside each of these challenging raw materials green branches of varying size and also deer antlers. Within a few days, the bonobos at the sanctuary began to prepare and use task-appropriate tools in a deliberate and planned manner. For example, they realized that in order to reach the food under the ground, they have to work in stages using tool sets. First, they removed the layer of stones using their hands and sticks, also using deer antlers as a rake. After reaching the soil level, they manipulated short branches, using them as a dagger or pick to gouge holes in the earth. When they widened and deepened the holes, using larger branches as shovels or spades, while the deer antlers were used as awls and mattocks. I don't know what a mattocks is. Finally, they extracted the food using a long branch as a pole and lever. They also used stones and antlers as hammers to break the bones in concrete capsules. The zoo bonobos also managed to perform food extraction tasks, but it took them more than a month to reach that point, and they were far less successful in the performance, just well below that of the sanctuary bonobos. It's apparent when they saw the sharp difference between the bonobos in the sanctuary and those in the zoo, that the zoo conditions did not promote hominid capability potential due to a lack of proper natural habitats. Despite this, however, one of the zoo bonobos managed to form a stick. And, she formed a stick and used her teeth to hone it into a spear. Then every time one of the researchers came by, she used a spear, sticking it at him in a threatening manner. Bonobos are not so nice and peaceful all the time. At least the female ones aren't. But you can see from, I'm looking at that, he's really, that particular bonobo is really trying to figure out how to use it. Come on, trying to go out of screen sharing now. So there you go. And the interesting part there is we think, oh, poor old Pamela, being attacked by Chelsey. See, there you go. Female babies, female bonobos. You got to look out for them.
She was just about to throw a rolling pin at me. That's what I was just going,
oh, you're having much more fun than I am, I can see.
Oh, no. I don't know about that. Just put it down. Oh, my goodness. Aren't you going to go for a nap today? She hasn't had a sleep yet. Her sleeps are getting fewer and further between, and they're shorter.
Ooh.
So I think the end of day naps might be nigh.
I thought it usually worked in the other direction. The older they get, the longer they sleep.
At night, not during the day.
Hmm.
No! Yeah, so, oh yeah, no, her nighttime sleeping's fine, but just the nap time during the day is when I am my most productive, doing other stuff. So, yeah.
You gonna have a babysitter tonight for her?
No, I don't have babysitters. No, she goes wherever I go.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but we won't talk about that.
Okay. Getting back to the story, I think one of the things is that we've developed our opinions about the intelligence of different animals, but they're based on how we observe them. And, you know, even in the wild, they're only going to demonstrate the degree of intelligence they need to get at their food or whatever they have to do in the wild. Same thing in a zoo or in a sanctuary. So we really don't fully appreciate what they're capable of. We only see what they're capable of doing. But if you present them, as they did in this particular tape, with something more challenging, we discover they, in fact, are more creative.
It's really interesting to see how far they're coming along. You know, are they going to catch up to us? You know, in the not too distant future. But we'll have to wait and see. This also reminded me. I watched a couple of BBC documentaries lately. Anyway, I watched one. If you have a male brain or a female brain. And it was really interesting. It was looking at toddlers about Chelsea's age and comparing what toys they play with and what they prefer to play with, and whether they prefer to play with certain toys because that's what they're expected to play with, and advertisements target and blah blah. And I've always been very careful about what I give Chelsea, and you know she doesn't have any dolls as yet or anything like that. And so they took some kids' toys to an island. I don't know the name of it, where just rhesus monkeys live and researchers come and observe. So the rhesus monkeys have not been exposed to advertisements. They haven't been exposed to watching human children play with these toys. So they're not emulating anything. And the boys played with the boys played with the cars, and the girls played with the dolls, mostly. So they think that the boys were very interested in the wheels on the toy cars, and so they think it's to do with the male brain enjoying watching objects moving, spatial, you know what it does to your brain, and the girls, young rhesus monkeys had seen. I'm actually going to research and get my daughter a doll, and not particularly encourage her to play with it, but just have it as an option. Now that I've seen that documentary.
Even with humans, when we talk about teaching, got to get away from that idea of rote training. And if you want children to reach their full potential, at some point you've got to let them take over the educational process and discover what their own potential and limitations are.
Oh, definitely, and not teach them what to learn, but teach them how to learn, so they can learn how to learn on their own without guidance. You know, I mean, all this telling them stop. All this telling them what to do, like I was just there, which I needed to for safety reasons. Then they get to the end of 12 years of traditional schooling, and they can't even get a job in a supermarket because they don't know how to do anything without being told. You know, it's ridiculous. knowing the square root of 64 by rote learning or whatever, it's not going to. It doesn't teach you how to. I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I can't even. Sorry, I'm tired. I was up all night doing an assignment, most of the night anyway. Yeah, so teaching them how to learn is more important than what to learn, I think.
Yeah, I watched a documentary about Natalie Merchants. You know who Natalie Merchants, the singer, is? Okay,
No.
she's an American singer. One of her more popular songs is called Wonder. And that particular song dealt with children being born, like autistic children, etc., and some people viewing them as, just solely as disabled people and not realizing that they have potential. And whatever it is, the child, they will surprise us, be it autistic or otherwise, with just how much potential they really have to learn. And I recommend the documentary. It's called Paradise is There, for one reason, because when she talks about each of the songs in the album. She's talking about the song Wonder. She met a woman with 2 daughters, and the 2 daughters were born with this really terrible disease where blisters and things can form all the time on their skin. One of the daughters, a blister formed on her eye, and she was blind for a week. Really terrible condition. Now, in that situation, you want to wrap your kid in a bubble. That's your tendency. You want to keep your kid from suffering. But what she decided is she was going to let her daughters establish their own limitations, because that was the only way they were ever going to learn, how to reach their own potential. And despite the condition with these 2 daughters, they both graduated summa cum laude from college. One of the daughters wrote an essay and won the Eli Wessel Essay Award for 1 year. Now, those things, they did both die early at the age of 27. But both of those things happened. I mean, graduating from college, they were obviously good students, winning an essay contest. None of those things would have happened if they had been wrapped in a bubble when they were growing up.
But how long could they have lived for if they were wrapped in a bubble, as you say?
I don't know. And it's a hard thing to say, but would you rather have 27 years active life or 27 years living in a bubble? Can't answer that question. But
if it's 27 active versus 27 in a bubble, then you would choose 27 active. But if it's 27 active or 87 in a bubble, I don't know the story. I don't know what.
But don't forget, at some point, the girls themselves could tell. I'm sure if a girl, one of the girls, they're really, really suffering, the mother would know about it. They would say, I don't know if they could give them medication or whatever. So at some point in their lives, the girls take over their lives. And they went to college. They didn't stay at home. They actually went to college. So, they took over their own decision-making at some point.
For sure, yeah, it was their choice at some point, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Oh, well, good for them. They probably accomplished more than a lot of people do, who live much longer lives.
The thing is, I give the mother credit. You know how that took a lot of courage to allow herself to perhaps watch her daughters. Maybe her daughters are trying to do something, and she can see their daughters are feeling pain or something. She let her daughters decide when to stop and when not to stop. And that took a lot of courage, I think.
For sure. Oh, that would be hard.
Yes, I can imagine.
No. I was just thinking, you know, I suppose she don't know how long you're going to live. Stephen Hawking was given 2 years to live. How long ago was that? Like 50 years ago? So, you just don't know.
Oh, how many autistic kids, 50 years ago would have been put in an institution. And now even you have autistic kids with varying degrees going to college or going to high school, living a productive life.
Yeah, autism. Often they're very intelligent. They're just kind of trapped. They have difficulty communicating. You don't have difficulty communicating. No. She's so funny.
I'm wondering, all mothers and fathers think their kids are precocious. Chelsey really seems like a very active child.
Oh yeah, she is. Yeah, she's very active. She never stops, and she's very social. She's very confident. You know, she just goes up to people and shakes their hands. She's so funny. I never taught her to do that. She just goes up to people and, you know, puts her hand out, and they go, oh, okay. She shakes their hand. And she's been doing that for ages. She's just, yeah, she's very independent, and you know, she goes up the stairs at the park to go down the slippery dip. You know, you got the stairs and down the slippery dip. You call them slides, I think, yeah. And I always just hold the back of her shirt just in case she slips, and she pushes my hand away. But she did slip the other day, so I think she was glad I was there because I, you know, just pulled her up. And I don't help her, but yeah, I'm just there in case she falls because that's my job. Yeah, she's funny. She's only 20 months old. What's today? The 4th? Yeah. 20 months ago, I was in labor.
Yeah, you were here last week and we were talking about that parasite for the tribe in Bolivia, where depending on which parasite they had, the women had more or less children. I think we talked about it. Really it had to do with the immune response somehow. There you go. If you want to have more kids, you just make sure you take the right parasite.
That's right. I think you kind of need a man as well for part of it. We haven't gotten around that yet. Not really.
Well, we have.
Almost.
With the,
yeah.
Test tubes and not the test tubes.
No, you still need a man for that. You mean cloning?
Well, yeah, you need a sperm contribution
for a test tube. Yeah, you still need a man. Yeah. But yeah, no, you're not completely useless. I was talking to one of my friends who's lesbian, and she was saying, "Oh, I don't need a man," and I said, "Well, who fixed your window last week?" Because I knew the answer, and she said, "My dad," and I went, "Well, there you go." And she went, "Oh yeah." You might not need a man for the same reasons I need one around, but you still need one, you know. Yeah. So don't worry, Ed. We're not getting rid of you yet.
You know, it's that's one of the transformations. Women being given more opportunities and demonstrating what they're capable of, including the military. Military has been kind of a last hurdle. Now we have a woman who qualified for Ranger training. She actually went through the course and qualified. And increasingly, even you don't have to be a big, strong man. I'm not a big, strong guy, but for so many of the jobs now, we have tools. We're like the bonobos. We invent our tools, and we use tools. I mean, in the military, you can shoot a gun. You can shoot a rifle. That doesn't take a lot of strength.
Yeah, true. So we're using the tools, which means our bodies don't have to do as much. You know, it's funny. I was talking to one of my neighbours here, and he works out every day or every second day because he has a spinal injury, so he has to do his own sort of physiotherapy at home. And we're just talking about fitness regimes and things like that. And he was saying, he said some ladies he saw in town yesterday they were coming out of the gym, and they were doing, it looked like they were doing that CrossFit. Do you know what I'm talking about? And he said they were buff. He said I wish I was that buff. So, yeah, you can. We all come in different shapes and sizes, don't we?
That is exactly right. And if we want to maximize, we want a country to maximize its potential, then we got to give everybody the opportunity. I've said this many, many times. It is actually stupid. I don't care if you took all your leaders from, from one gender or the other. A country run by all women going to be just as bad as a country run by all men. You got to have a mix. You've got to get the best of both. That's the only way of doing it, and the only way that makes sense. I'm going to drift off the politics a little bit here because you've heard about the shooting and yet another mass murder we had in California.
Yeah, come here. How many of you? How many? Like 335 mass shootings in 355 days or something. I saw a statistic like that.
I have no clue. I got no clue.
Or is it was 300 and something dead from mass shootings? Because I can't believe there's been that many mass shootings. But and it said down the bottom of the statistic, a mass shooting is 4 or more people in the same, at the same sort of time.
That can't be the United States alone.
No, I think it was.
Well, I don't know. I find that hard to believe. I mean, that 365. You said 365 mass shootings.
No. I think it was 3. Where did I see it? About 335 or something like that, or was it 3? I said it was. I only looked at it briefly. Sorry, I shouldn't quote it if I don't know for sure. But it was either 335 mass shootings or 335 people dead from mass shootings in like 355 days or something. That was the comparison. It's almost a person a day.
Oh, if you're talking about the murder rate in the United States, then absolutely, I believe that.
Mass shootings, 4 or more people. That's not including 1, 2, or 3 people killed.
Okay, I don't know. I'd be very skeptical about that, but I don't know. I really don't know. And if you talk about, the only thing I can think of is like gang shootouts, drug wars, and things like that. Okay, you throw that in, and maybe that might be true. I really don't know. The thing about mass shootings is you have one, and then it's almost like you're going to have a copycat. You have one, and then you have another. So, I don't know. I don't know. In fact, as far as the California shooting goes, I don't know all the details. We don't. So I can't say anything about it because we really should wait until all the details come up. Well, my main point, and I've talked about this in the past, is you should use logic instead of emotion when you're thinking about problems such as that, mass murder. You're thinking about terrorism, for instance. And when people think about terrorism, and when I see people talking about this California incident, what I see is a lot of emotional responses. A lot of people responding using the emotional side of their brain, perfectly logical, instead of the logical side of the brain. And I have an article, and I believe this was in The Guardian. No, it's actually Scientific America. And it's viewing terrorism and terrorists logically from the standpoint of doing a study. And this is just a study. And this is the French National Center for Scientific Research. And they acknowledge any effort with no immediate effect may seem derisatory. science can help to open avenues of analysis. All right. Now, the lead paragraph is religion is not the trigger. And that's the first thing I see is you got a Muslim involved, therefore it's religion is the problem. And this is Europe. The rise of Jedi in Europe has led to an assumption that there's a radicalization of Muslims more generally across the continent. Yet the research suggests that most extremists are either people who returned suddenly to Islam or converts with no Islamic background. As many as 1 in 4 French Jedaists is a convert. So this is a study done by the European University Institute, New Florence. Violent extremism emerges first with a religious justification tagged on afterward. This is a guy who studies both Jediist and foreign policy at the Ghent University in Belgium. He notes that 2 young British men were jailed last year on terrorism offenses after fighting in Syria, had earlier ordered online books, Islam for Dummies, the Quran for Dummies. So these 2 guys were not people who really seriously studied Islam. Resentment is the common ground. It is difficult to make generalizations about how people become radicalized in Europe, but many extremists come from broken homes or deprived areas, lack education, and are unemployed. A smaller number are well educated, have held jobs, and are middle class. The characteristics that extremists seem to share are resentment directed at society and a narcissistic need for recognition that leaves them open to a narrative of violent glory. Almost all European extremists and terrorists are 2nd and 3rd generation immigrants, are often stigmatized, rejected, and treated as second-class citizens. However, since 2013, the profile of those leaving to fight in Syria has included a much larger proportion of middle-class youth than the previous generation. The link between terrorism and prison was highlighted this year in 3 terrorist attacks in January in Paris. All of the individuals had done time in jail. Many French terrorists have a history of petty crime that landed them in prison. Stays there often proved seminal experiences on their path to radicalization. They spent, another researcher spent years interviewing 160 staff and inmates in 4 large prisons, including 15 inmates sentenced for terrorism offenses. He says that prisoners often come under the influence and form lasting bonds with radical Islamist and terrorist networks, also true with drug gangs. Most of these who got involved in terrorism in Europe are misfits and drifters, people who joined militant networks throughout life crises or through friends or relatives on the inside. But he says the key factors in terrorist activity are a much smaller number of entrepreneurs. These seasoned, ideologically driven activists are part of the transnational terrorist webs linked to both extremist groups throughout Europe and armed groups in conflict areas. They are the ones who bring structure and organization. And that's probably a change. You now have these organized individuals promoting whatever the heck their violent agenda is, and now through the internet and things like that, they have access to more recruits. Several of the terrorists involved in the Paris attacks and the perpetrators of various attacks in Europe had lived in one particular area. This led some politicians and media outlets to label this area as a terrorism capital, but that's misleading. Jedi hotspots have emerged across Europe in environments ranging from poor neighborhoods to universities and schools to prisons. The key ingredient in the spread of Jediism in any location is a critical mass of Jediist entrepreneurs. And I will stop there. Poor Pamela's getting beaten up.
I am. Did you see? I was going, no, no. And she threw a salt and pepper shaker. Hit me right on the bridge of the nose. Yeah. And she hits my nose from across the room with objects a lot, so it wasn't an accident. One of my friends asked me today, they said, you know, is she a fiery redhead? And I said, yeah, she's pretty psycho. You know, she can be very charming and endearing, and then, yeah, she gets out the rolling pin. No, you can't have my phone. But I was listening to all of that. Yes. You know, I've always advocated that it's not it's not people who represent religion that are doing these things. No, don't throw my phone. Goodness me. I think she's getting tired because she gets violent just before she crashes. You might be getting ready for a nap. Do you think? No. 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 Yes? You're ready for a nap.
Yeah, okay, I don't know if this is part of your law courses or whatever, you know, but what I have, my perception is, and what I've seen is politics. You have someone who's a right-winger, and when they change, they go to the extreme left wing. They don't make that, you know, they don't go through the middle. They go from the extreme on one side to the extreme on the other. And it's almost a personality thing, perhaps. And then you compound that, again, by somebody who's been mistreated, perhaps, or somebody who, feels they've been taken improper advantage of or haven't given right opportunities. There's a profile, there's a personality profile, I think, that increases the likelihood of an individual expressing themselves violently or joining a violent group.
Okay. Do people change from right to left like that? I don't know that I can think of any examples, really. I have my phone.
I can't think of examples. I observed this back in the 60s. I can't remember what the examples were. I think he's a writer for the Washington Post. He's a conservative writer, excellent writer, spokesman for the conservative movement. His first name is Will, and I can't think of his second name. He wrote a newspaper article about that. But I can't remember the details, and it's just a perception. And I'm sure, you know, there's no magic bullet, no formula. But you should approach the problem, can approach it using science and using logic, and create a profile and study it scientifically, examine each of these individuals, see what is really motivating them, and get that a good profilers, and get that profile together so that that's the best way, the best chance you have for identifying these kinds of individuals, and at the very least, targeting them. And targeting might mean education. It might mean emotional support. I don't know. But that, you know, that's profiling. Are you resting, Pamela? Maybe Pamela's resting and trying to get Chelsey.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Chelsey to go up to sleep before she murders me.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all right. Keep going. So I'm just laying down with her, hoping she'll get the hint.
Let's see. I've got it. I'm going to jump to. Let's see. Trying to jump to a couple of stories here. All right. All right. We've been talking about the fun topic of terrorism. How about storing nuclear waste? And this is our friend Yanni. And what's happened is Finland's government became the first to approve the construction of a deep underground repository for nuclear waste. $3 billion facility at an island off Finland's west coast. And they're going to pack it with 6,500 tons of uranium into copper canisters. The canisters will be lodged into a network of tunnels cut out of granite bedrock, 400 meters underground. And they're going to pack them with clay. They're going to make sure these canisters are perfectly safe. And it should safely isolate the waste for 700,000 years until the radiation levels are harmless. Now, the key part of this story and what they did in Finland is the government went to this particular community, and one, they educated them on exactly how the storage process works. Now, in the United States, the government had a policy of communities volunteering. Let's wait for the community to volunteer. Well, I kind of don't think you're going to get too many communities saying, hey, store that nuclear waste over here. Don't think that's going to happen. So what Finland did is, I'm sure they looked for areas that could be potential storage areas. And then they went and sat down with the community leaders, the community people themselves. And one, you really had to sell them on the fact that it's safe. That's number one. And number two, you got to offer them a financial incentive. Those are the two critical components that they did, that Finland did, and they were able to get the community to accept this particular storage happening, I guess, near where they live. How do other countries do it? Most have above-ground facilities. Russia injected high-level nuclear waste into natural rock formations. I don't know about that, but not into purpose-built facilities. And that's what I say. In the United States, has the largest number of nuclear power stations in the world. They had selected a site in Nevada, spent $15 billion on it, but then the Nevada politicians opposed the idea. Now, here's the problem. You have new politicians coming in all the time. The old politicians might sign off on it. The new ones don't. United Kingdom, Japan, and Canada have also declared plans, but once again, the plans don't really get that far. And that's because, and I'm going to guess, you really have to do a good selling job, and I'm assuming you can prove as much as possible these facilities are safe, and you got to give them a bunch of money. Bunches of money are probably a key component.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
The nap didn't go so well.
Sorry?
The nap didn't work out.
It might still. She was looking, her eyes were sort of rolling back in her head for a moment there. Yeah, you need to go for a nap, don't you?
Okay. Move on to another story. something called life science projects. Now, I have, unfortunately, lost my sheet, but that's okay, because I can screen share a link to what I'm talking about. And this is the United Kingdom.
Now that's an alpaca.
That is an alpaca. And what they have are, it says life sciences, and it's one of the fastest growing industries in the United Kingdom. We're talking about $56 billion and accounts creating 183,000 jobs in the United Kingdom. And these are programs being pushed by a government minister. And they're talking about 5 projects they've listed here. That was kind of the interesting thing. First, you've got dandelions for dementia. And dandelions are the national symbol of Wales. And the humble daffodil is a good source of galatomin, a naturally occurring chemical capable of easing symptoms of dementia among sufferers of Alzheimer's disease. Until recently, the chemical was mainly extracted from snowdrops grown in Bulgaria and China, but trials have shown daffodils grown at high altitude in wet climates produce blossoms with high concentrations of this particular chemical, glytamine. And now, because of this support from the government, a number of small businesses in Wales and the Black Mountains of mid-Wales have taken advantage of the region's ideal conditions to grow and harvest large crops for international companies. Now, there you go, grow daffodils and make bunches of money selling them to companies, I guess, with dementia products, etc. There's your friend, the little woolly paca. Alpaca antibodies. Alpacas are already farmed for their fleece. Wool is warmer. It's warmer than wool. And it's also hypoallergenic. And it's their antibodies that scientists are interested in. So the alpaca antibodies are significantly smaller than those from other commonly used lab animals such as mice, and can survive harsh environments inside cells, and they retain the ability to seek out targets. As such, they can have a range of pharmaceutical applications, including the possibility to treat ultra-rare clotting disorder, I don't know what that word is, thrombosis, penius, something or other, known as TTP. I don't know, Pamela, you worked with alpacas maybe at some point?
I did work with alpacas, but where's the word you're looking at? Scroll back. Thrombocytopenic purpura.
Yeah, what you said.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Can't say I've come across that before. Yeah, I worked with alpacas, yeah, but they were pets. The people just kept them mainly to keep the grass down.
Now, it's interesting. Did you know? I mean, they're antibodies. Alpaca antibodies are a good research tool.
Yeah.
Better than mice, because the alpaca antibodies are better than mice when it comes to surviving inside cells. So there you go. And now you were talking about collagen, but this is jellyfish collagen. Now, I hear varying stories about jellyfish taking over different parts of the ocean because it's getting warmer. I know in Japan, from time to time, they get these huge jellyfish. They weigh about 600 pounds. And it really messes up the fishing fleets. When they dig up their nets and they've got these 600-pound jellyfish instead of fish. But
that's huge.
Yeah. The collagen, it says, have a wide range of uses. Pharma grade jellyfish collagen is being harvested to use in a variety of medical applications, including bone grafts, wound healing, and treating rheumatoid arthritis. And the first successful harvest and extraction of jellyfish collagen in the UK took place once again in Wales. And now a firm is now moving to larger scale extraction to support the creation of groundbreaking medical devices using jellyfish collagen. Now there you go. And another government-sponsored life science project. And I can't say it's not really government-sponsored, government-encouraged, business-sponsored. Now this one I know a lot of you probably already know about. This is tomatoes and garlic are renowned as two of the cornerstones of cooking, but they can also prove their worth in medicine. Tomatoes are being genetically engineered to produce larger amounts of health-related compounds, ribostol or something like that, which could have positive effects on cardiovascular disease, and genistein, which can help prevent breast cancer. I'm gonna throw a flag on that, which could help. Lots of caveats when you start talking about this sort of stuff, but you know, who knows? Garlic has long been lauded and mythologized for its apparent health benefits, and scientists are now examining its unique biochemistry in the hope that garlic extracts could have a wide range of medicinal benefits. And the thing too is, you know, there's a lot of homeopathic medicine that says, here is garlic, take this garlic and you won't get cancer or whatever, you know, exaggerated claims. And in most cases,
garlic is good for you. I don't know about it preventing cancer, but yeah, everyone should have some garlic. You know, eat it raw if you're not kissing anyone.
I've never ate a lot. Well, you are correct. How much any food product will help depends on each of us. That is, we have our own microbiome, we have our own set of DNA coded, and something that will help you will not help me. And when you're talking about whether or not how useful, how healthful a product can be, scientifically, you're looking at the chemicals, such as they talk about this health-related compound. And what you've got to look at in your health product, whatever the heck it is, you've got to look at the amount of that compound that is in the product being sold. And when you say healthy diet, to me that means a variety of foods. I'm a diabetic, so I had to learn which foods work best for me. And a diet, my meal plan, would be different from someone else's meal plan. And the only way you learn is through experience.
Well, I've, as you know, I'm on the Soylent, and I must say, my poop has never been better. It's great. And that's really important, especially for me, because my father died of bowel cancer when he was 50. So, and I'm 35, you know, so I've got to look after the bowels. And yeah, and you know, I learned in nursing school, if your poop's good, you're usually fine. You'll find out if something's wrong with your poop. So I'm happy with Soylent. But since watching that documentary about the anti-aging thing, and it's not just for vanity, but it's for joints and everything as well. So I've ordered some collagen powder to have, which is, I've got a vegan version. And I also ordered some wheatgrass powder. So I'm going, and that's, you know, that's concentrated good stuff. So I'm going to have them on alternating mornings, because you're supposed to take them both, you know, on an empty stomach, sort of first thing in the morning with a bit of orange juice half an hour before food. So I'll take, you know, wheatgrass on, say, Mondays and collagen Tuesdays and alternate them and see. You know, I'll let you know. I'll see if I feel any different.
Yeah. before you bought those products,
Hmm.
can I assume you did some kind of research, let's say? Did
Yeah.
you look at the actual ingredients? We
Yeah.
talked about the ingredients of sodium, and
Yes.
everything I've seen, it does look like a good product,
Yeah.
good as a supplement. And the difference between that and what I use is Ensure. The one reason it might be in itself a complete meal is it has fiber in it. Ensure
Mm-hmm.
does not have fiber in it. This has 3 grams of fiber in it.
Yeah. No, I researched the collagen because there's collagen, there's bovine, there's jellyfish, there's all that. So I got the vegan one, and it gets absorbed best with vitamin C. So I've got one that has vitamin C as well as collagen. So yeah, and something else, a colloidal silica, which is just another sort of good thing that does the same kind of thing. So I got that in the mix. And wheatgrass, I used to have wheatgrass all the time actually, but I'd have it raw and fresh and cold pressed and all that. But it takes about an hour to clean up every time you do it. So if you do that every day, and I only have about an hour a day to do anything because I have a baby, that would be all I did. I would just be drinking wheatgrass, and that would be all I got accomplished all day. No laundry, no dishes. So I've ordered the powder. And it should be just as good because you get when that comes from being freeze dried and or dehydrated and everything. So you're just hydrating it again. It should be as good. So we'll see. I haven't received them yet, so I'll let you know.
Yeah, and as I say, you know what the concentration is in the product that you're getting.
Yeah.
So that's the key.
Wheatgrass. Like a shot of that is like
Michael Jobin, our friend in the chat room, said he would kiss a girl after she ate garlic. So
he would. Okay. If you both eat garlic, it's all right. It cancels each other out. Yeah. But I'm just saying, you don't want to go and eat a clove of garlic and then go on your first date with someone or something. Well, you might. You could do that. Then if they really like you, because they'll still kiss you. But yeah.
Talking about products helping, and I'm thinking of when I go to the store, I see tons of product being sold as healthy products. I know a lot of people who make claims about a particular product being the thing that really makes them healthful. And when I read the science behind it, it just doesn't hold up. And one of the big things is the placebo effect. That is, if you think something's going to help you, it really increases the odds that it will help you. Doesn't mean it's the best thing that's going to help you. And if you see these extreme diets, whatever the heck the paleo diet, I don't care what it is, an extreme diet focusing in on one food group. I don't think that's going to work well for most people. Might work well for some people. I don't know. You try it, it works for you, great. But I subscribe for the idea that for most people, you need a balanced diet. It's different. Well, go ahead.
I'm just saying, yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I like the Soylent. I know it's balanced, so I have it. I don't usually have it for 3 meals a day because I'm pretty social, so I'm usually eating with someone at some point. But yeah, once or twice a day is good, and I know it's balanced, and I know it's good, and I feel good. Yeah. Puppies. And it's been about 3 weeks now, and I can tell I'm a bit more toned, so I'm probably having more protein than I was having before. And I'm not working out or anything. I'm carrying a 12-kilo person around all the time, but I'm not doing anything else. Puppies, yeah.
Yeah, I can remember a couple of weeks ago when you were talking about when you were pregnant, you had a urinary tract infection, and how cranberry extract really helped you.
Oh, it did. Craisins. They're yeah, cranberries that have been sort of made like raisins. Yeah, and we did the research, and they do help some people and not everyone. So no, that's how I found out I was pregnant, because I had a urinary tract infection, and went to the doctor, and they were doing the urine test, and they're like, could you be pregnant? And I said, oh, I don't think so. It's like, well, you are. And I'm like, oh, we should do the. Can we do the test again? And he said, we can do it as many times as you like. Because yeah, you can get a urinary tract infection when you're pregnant. So there, I was pissing razor blades. That was terrible. But craisins, yeah, the cranberries are just a couple of days of a couple of mouthfuls of that. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else, and it was gone. And so I ate a mouthful of craisins nearly every day I was pregnant. And I didn't get another one. And they were saying, the doctors were saying, oh, no urinary tract infections except for the first one. That's amazing, because usually you have them throughout the pregnancy. And actually, that reminds me, I need to put them on my shopping list. I like to just keep them in the house in case.
Yeah, it helps. I think it was the Mayo Clinic site we went to, and it's well documented that cranberry extract will help pregnant women with urinary tract infection. There's no evidence that it will significantly help anyone else, but the one group it clearly does help is pregnant women.
Well, I had it recommended from a friend of mine who, she has children, but I mean her children are grown up, and she said she still keeps them in her fridge, and because she gets urinary tract infections quite frequently for whatever reason, I don't know, and it still helps her many years after having had her children. So
yeah,
she
I've had a urinary tract infection. I took antibiotics for it. It helped the first time, but not the second. And with older people, particularly a diabetic, I've got to be careful about it. For me, I tried the cranberry extract thing. I don't think it made a bit of difference. For me, what helps is I drink a lot of water. I clean out my system.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't. I haven't had one since. But, I mean, yeah, they're good for you. They taste good, so it's good to keep them around. It's a shame they didn't help you. So why didn't antibiotics help the second time?
What happens is that I grew some super bacteria. That's what happens. See, the first time it can help you, but if it happens again, it means those are the critters that survived the first attack. And it's this, the antibiotic not going to be affected on those because they've survived. And that's.
But wouldn't we take an antibiotic?
A second, as I understand it, a second time, it's not going to do you any good. Two things: you can, drink a lot of water and stuff like that. And if it's bad enough, if it's serious enough, you can have an operation. Well, they will clean out, Yeah. Don't want that happening. I drink lots and lots of water.
Yeah. I've had enough people poking and prodding me down around there, my labor and everything, to last me a lifetime. Thanks.
I was going to talk to Justin about this. I'll throw it in. We like to have our discussion about religion, and he's a religion is, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for him, but I had a discussion online, and a person told me that there's been a lot of tweets and communications by people who are atheists talking about how people are saying some thoughts and prayers, and that's not helping. And then there were people on the religious wing say, this is ridiculous, you're being stupid. But what it comes down to is, first of all, if you simply saying, you're my prayers, that's showing empathy. I'm an atheist, I might say, you're in my thoughts. I'm showing empathy. That's terrific. All you're doing is showing empathy. One point. The second point, the important thing, I'm wondering if my friends who believe that prayer itself has the power to heal, Christian scientists believe that, I wonder if it has any beneficial effect at all. It could be the placebo effect. They believe it's helping. I mean, I would be interested in seeing, when the neurons are frying off in the brain, if, the placebo effect, whatever neuron connection that is, when someone prays, if those same neuron connections are firing off. Because my suspicion is that psychologically, maybe even physiologically, praying might help, and if it helps, it could be the placebo effect.
Yeah, you just reminded me. My ex of many years ago has, well, I suppose he still has it. I don't speak to him anymore, but he has trigeminal neuralgia, and that means that so you have your nerve endings, in your brain, and they're each surrounded by a myelin sheath, which is a coating to protect it. And if that myelin sheath wears away, it's raw, right? And he had that happen to one of his, and it's just like a hammer, really just in his head. Awful, awful pain. And quite an expensive medication is the only thing. A lot of people who have trigeminal neuralgia kill themselves. So they just can't handle it. So you have the medication, or there is surgery possibilities, but of course you don't want to be having brain surgery if you can help it. Anyway, the medication works just fine, and yeah, he's last I heard was living a normal life with it. It comes and goes. Sometimes it's worse than others. Anyway, but when he first got it, I believe he's religious now, and he's married to a Christian woman, but at the time he was definitely not religious, and that's what I think too, Chelsea. Anyway, his family's quite religious, and they were saying that everyone in the church was praying for him. Oh, gee, Chelsea, don't headbutt me. Yeah, and so that's why he got better, right? He got better because they all prayed for him, and so I thought, well, what, you're going to stop taking the medication then? Because that's kind of a waste of money if the prayers working. But he didn't stop taking the medication. So, no, I don't hold any stock in that. I really don't think everyone's prayers did anything for him. I'm pretty sure it was the medication. And actually, it was, to get him medication, it was just the clever diagnosis from a really good doctor who had seen it before, because it's a hard thing to diagnose. But anyway, yeah, they really thought their prayers had stopped his headaches.
Yeah, my memory's not so good, but I remember a study, and it might have been done in Britain. I forget where it was. It was done in a hospital recovery room. And I had a big debate with the woman online, Christian woman online, who believed that there was a study that proved that if you prayed over a person in a hospital, it showed they got better. No. So I did some research, and I found a study, and there were 3 groups. They broke the people in the recovery room into 3 groups. And if I remember correctly, I know that in one group, they had someone pray, hold their hands and pray. In the second group, they simply had someone come and say anything, read from a book, whatever. And the third group, someone simply came in the room and hold their hands. There was no significant difference in the recovery rate. There's evidence that recovery rates will improve if you have a positive state of mind. Receiving emotional support from people, family, that can help speed up the recovery process, at least to some degree. But from this study, what kind of support you provide, praying, holding their hand, making funny comments, doesn't make a bit of difference. It's just the empathetic, feeling empathy. That's what really counts.
Yeah, right. And just even, keeping them company, just being there for them, being present for them.
Same thing. I have often I go to church when I walk around town. There's a nice little chapel, and that's where I will go on occasion, basically to meditate. It's a beautiful little place, got nice hardwood, fairly comfortable benches. You've got those icons, they're very crafted, a very pretty place. And I meditate. And, it's the quietness, the serenity of the place helps me clear my mind. Another person might go there and they might pray. I suspect it doesn't make a bit of difference. One person praying, me simply meditating, and I suspect whatever therapeutic benefit it has, it will be the exact same. The neuron connections are exactly the same, firing off whether I'm praying or simply quietly meditating. I don't know if you can talk, Pamela. Have you taught Chelsey how to meditate? Have that helped? No. Chelsey's not into meditating, I guess.
No, she can't sit long enough to do that. Goodness.
I saw Patrick.
No, she's fine. I know. I thought he was coming. No, there's too much happening at the moment. She won't go to sleep.
Okay.
But if she goes to sleep, I have to go and do an assignment anyway. Not an assignment. I've got a take-home exam. You get 48 hours to do it, and it's due tonight at midnight. I don't have that much to do on it, but I need to get it finished. Okay. And I can only do it when she's asleep. So as long as she's awake, I'm here. But if she does get to go to sleep, I need to go and work on that.
Well, it's just the two of us, and we've been here. I don't know how long we've been here, to tell you the truth.
I don't know either, but Patrick, I don't know. I can have a look, because I know when I sent a text message before.
Maybe an hour. We don't have to continue much longer, really. I'm pretty much out of stories anyway.
Okay. Well, I thought Patrick was coming, so.
Honey.
He doesn't have a good connection. Guys, you're a technology person, so you must know the answer.
Yeah. Been here about an hour and a half.
Okay. Maybe you can.
Yeah.
A problem we've been having.
Problem we have what?
All right. A problem we've been having on the last night with This Week in Science chat room.
Yeah, I got into the chat room.
Did you? What, last night?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't get in. And going in through TWIS.live, I couldn't get in, and other people couldn't get in. They had to go through another IRC.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. I just had to answer. I had to do it twice, and I had to answer stupid picture questions.
Yes. It didn't work for me.
I got the first one wrong. I got the second one right. Well, you had to pick the ones that match, and so the first one I couldn't see any matching, so I picked a couple of random ones, and they said that was wrong. And then the second one I could see what matched, so I picked the 4 matching ones, and I got in.
Okay. Well, if you look, there's a little microphone. When you're in that, and it shows you the pictures below it, you show a microphone. If you hit the microphone, somebody speaks, and what you have to do is input the numbers that you hear. That worked for me. Still couldn't get into the chat area. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I was told there's something. And let me. In fact, I will screen share this with you. Maybe maybe I can get some free help here.
Yeah, I've never seen a capture like that before.
Okay, this is Kiwi. Hey, Kiwi, that's New Zealand, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, people were getting in. Okay, it says try me. The thing is, okay, I'll click on try me. All right, I can pick a nickname. That's not a problem. Okay, I don't have a password. Okay, fine. Now, the thing is, right now I'm in a chat for the default. Now, I presume if I put up here where the little X is, hashtag TWIS, I would have gotten into the TWIS chat room last night.
No, I don't know.
So,
sorry, I've never done anything like that.
What good? Yeah, no help.
Sorry, no, I don't know. I can't. You have to put the hash in to get to the something.
Well, I tried that with Science Island and it didn't work. I'll try and figure out that later. For the time being, ooh, you're really getting beat up. Okay, I will let you go. We've been at this, I'm sure, over an hour. Plenty of time. We've covered plenty of stories.
Okay.
So I will let you go and end the hangout. Okay? Unless you want, do you have something fascinating you want to talk about?
No, nothing fascinating. What else have I done sciencey lately? No, that was about it, I think.
Okay.
Oh, you know what I have? What else I saw? So I've watched 3 BBC Science documentaries in the last week. So I talked about 2 of them, and the other one was how we really make decisions. Have you seen it or you heard of this guy? He's a Nobel Prize laureate. He wrote the book Thinking Fast and Slow. Have you heard of it? Or no? Yeah? Okay. And it's about, we have a type 1 system and a type 2 system. And anyway, everyone should go and either read this book or just have, it's only like 45 minutes online, how we really make decisions. I recommend it. It's really interesting how we think. We don't think the way we think we think. When we think we're being logical and rational, we're not. And I've never been one to gamble or anything like that. I'm not interested. But the whole how we evaluate losses and gains, which is quite illogically, and they've been proven that with rhesus monkeys, even if we think we're being logical, we're not. It's been ingrained in us, for 35 million years. And so we've set our society up to actually fail at making good decisions in a way. So we really need to, we're not going to change 35 million years of decision making. That's just how our brain works at this point. That's all there is to it. But we need to look at how our society is set up so that we can make better decisions. So that's your homework, Ed, if you watch it, and then we can have a discussion about it next week. And anyone else who watches this podcast and then goes and watches that or reads that book, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it.
What is the name of this book? Or is it a podcast? Can I listen to it?
No, it's there's a BBC documentary. You know how they do the science? It's only like 45 minutes or so on YouTube.
Okay.
And it's how we really make decisions.
Okay.
And the guy whose research is in this documentary, he's the guy who wrote Thinking Fast and Slow. So if people want to read a book, read that book. And if people want to watch a documentary on YouTube, go watch the documentary. It's all the same information.
Okay.
No audio options only, sorry. Yeah. But I found that fascinating. So that's what else I did sciencey this week. And otherwise, I'm just raising my own personal science experiment right here.
And having fun.
Oh yeah, mostly fun. Ah. She's so funny. She's smiling right now.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm a puppy. Puppy.
Puppies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puppies.
Puppies. All right. Well, we can let you go if you want.
Okay, we can talk about this next week.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
an
have anything
interesting
else.
subject because I have a lot of thoughts on it right off the bat. Very
It'll be
briefly.
interesting. Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on it before you watch it or read
Just
it?
very briefly, for me.
Mm.
Okay. Little backstory, won't take much time. Very depressed, attempted suicide. Okay. Lots of emotional problems. My solution was eliminate emotion from my thinking. Only survive step by step. Only engage the logical side of my mind. Survive. I survive. Surviving's not fun. You want to live. You just don't want to survive. So I gradually, through poetry and stuff, exposed myself, if you will, to the emotion. I allowed my emotional side to come back. So if I've got a problem, if I'm dealing with art, emotional. If it's problem solving, what should I do about work or something? Logical. Think like a scientist. Reduce that question to its most common, basic, bottom line element. Strip away everything as much as possible. Get to the bottom line. Get to usually there's one issue, one kernel. And that's what you examine. Don't examine the symptoms and things, but examine that one kernel. But that's when approaching major decisions, art, music, all that other stuff, emotional decisions. That's what I got to say now. So we'll talk about this in more detail next week.
Yeah. If you find the time, that's all. Yeah, I just found it was really interesting because I clicked on it by because I'm always interested in scientific documentaries and how we think, and then I realized it was this guy, and I've been meaning to. I haven't read the book. I've been meaning to read the book because one of my friends read it at the beginning of this year and has been telling me you need to read this book. You need to read this book. Anyway, so when I've done this exam that's due tonight at midnight, I don't have anything due for uni until March. So I'm going to read all these books that people have been telling me all year that I need to read if I haven't read them already. And that's one of them. Anyway, so I went, oh, that's that guy. So that's great. And, yeah, so type 1 system is about even when we've... So it's the fast one. It wants results. You think it's logical, but it's not. So if you've made a decision before, even if you made a bad decision, you've already made that decision, and your brain wants to make the same decision again, even if it's a bad decision, because it already knows how it's going to turn out. Isn't that crazy? And I mean, it is literally. I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But that's what we're programmed to do. And then type 2 system, or whatever it's called, is the sort of the more slow one. Anyway, yeah, you'll see what I mean when you watch it.
And before we go, Michael Jobin is going for a job interview tomorrow, so we can give him our emotional support. You're in my thoughts, Michael.
And I don't believe in luck because you make your own, but you know what I mean. I'm sure you'll do well.
Okay, I am going to stop the broadcast and head out. See you guys next week.